So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Awesome. Thanks for everybody being here. How many of this would like to be able to transform your obstacles in your life right now into cash flow or into opportunities? How many in this room would like to have a lot less stress this year in your life? And how many would you like to be able to get paid to solve people's problems? Good. So thank you so much for being here. I just got back. I was traveling all over British Columbia, Canada, and I was in Vancouver for a little bit for the Olympics. Had a great time meeting some of the people. Some friends of mine who were involved in the Olympics, and just a really great time. How many in this room have ever been to Vancouver? Good, awesome. So great. So where is everyone from that's here tonight? I know you're here from all over the Bay Area, but where's everyone from? Just shout out where you're from. Rosa, great place, yes. Napa, yeah. Walnut Creek, yeah. Berkeley, good. Sausalito, yes, great place. So I want to acknowledge you for driving here, busing here, taking part, getting here, whatever it took to get here, because 80% of success is showing up. And tonight I'm going to cover some things tonight that are going to show you at a very high level. And I want to also acknowledge Patrick for being here as well and really putting on behind the scenes to make this happen. So we can acknowledge Patrick. Because it really takes a lot of work, a lot of engine, gusto to make things happen behind the scenes to make it a success, to booking the facility, to arranging everything, to putting butts in the chairs. So I want to acknowledge you for being here tonight. Tonight is really interesting because I'm going to teach you some concepts tonight that you've never heard of. If anybody in this room has ever been to Harvard, Stanford, Yale University, any of the colleges, I'm going to show you stuff at a very high level tonight. I have a chance to train and work with billionaires. I have a chance to work with multimillionaires, people who run billion-dollar corporations. And so when I go in and train these people, we've got to make things happen at a very fast rate with specific and measurable results, because in the business world, talk is cheap. So I'm going to fast track you tonight if you're open to it and compress a lot of time into a very short period of time. But when you apply the tools, tips, and techniques I'm going to teach you tonight, you will see specific and measurable results in a very short period of time. Does that make sense? Yes. So one of the things I want to share with you tonight also is you're going to learn a principle I'm going to teach you tonight that was taught to me during a breakfast meeting one-on-one with a billionaire one day. I was sitting down with a guy one-on-one during breakfast, and this guy's worth close to $5 billion. Not bad. And I said to him, I said, how did you become a billionaire? And he laid it out on the napkin with a pen. And he showed me steps of what he did to become a billionaire. And I'm going to teach you some of those strategies tonight. And within 5 business days or 5 days, you will see specific and measurable results. In fact, if some of you are in the real estate industry, financial services, you're in network marketing, you're in retail sales, you're in commission sales, you're an entrepreneur, you will see your productivity and your production within 5 days be totally different than it is today. I've done this in Singapore, the United Kingdom, all over the world. Last month, I impacted over 37.1 million people around the planet through media and television, and the emails and the phone calls that I get in of people saying that one principle has changed the way I do things. And I'm going to share that with you tonight because I want to contribute. I want to make a difference in your life. So to share things with you, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about my background? Mm-hmm. I grew up in a place called Schwerdtfeger, Saskatchewan, Canada. It's about 17,000 people. We don't even lock our doors in most places. I moved from there after high school to a city of 70,000 people. There's more people live in the state of California than all the population of Canada. Isn't that amazing? There's more people live in this state, California, than all the population of Canada. So what happened was, when I was 7 years of age, I set up my first little company called Rent-A-Kid. And I would go out and cut grass, shovel sidewalks, and deliver newspapers. And by age 9, I had my two best friends from my neighborhood. They would actually go out and help me cut grass, shovel sidewalks, and deliver newspapers. And I had this little mindset, a philosophy called Rent-A-Kid. And all through life, I went through school. I struggled. I had low self-esteem. I was insecure. And I graduated from high school. But in grade 11, I was labeled most likely not to succeed. I was taken out of class one day by a guidance counselor and a school teacher because of my academic marks. And they said, what do you plan to do with your life? I said, I want to travel around the world and make a difference in people's lives. And they go, you're not going to make it in the real world. My graduation year, I had people wrote in my yearbook, good luck, hope you make it digging ditches or maybe you ever succeed. Because I was a kid in school who I drifted away from the academic world and I was dreaming about goals and dreams and making things happen. How many can relate to me? Any of you? Yes. A few of you. And so I was labeled what they call ADHD in school. I thought it meant attention developed to a higher dimension. So I thought it meant, right? So I thought it was attention developed to a higher dimension. I just thought differently. I didn't think inside the box. It didn't conform. I'm also a very visual learner. And I learned hands-on, kinesthetically. So one of the things about myself is that I've done a lot of things in my life, but humbly I want to share with you, I've had a lot of failures. In fact, I probably failed more times in my life than most of you in this room. In my early 20s, I was homeless, living on welfare. I spent 3 months living on welfare. I lived in an orchard, slept there in an orchard at nighttime, an apple orchard. That's where I lived. I was involved in a business deal where I learned about what they call passive income and residual income. I didn't know what it meant, but it sounded sexy and cool. So I went to a bank and I signed 2 loans to 2 guys for a business, and 4 months later I got a knock on the door, tow truck outside, repossessed my automobile, bank account frozen, wrote a bunch of bounce checks, right? Because back in the 1990s you had to have first and last month's rent plus 12 post-dated checks. Well, in my rental agreement, right, it stated that you write any non-sufficient fund checks or bounce check, you're out the door. So I got evicted, but when you're evicted, you're in your early 20s, and you go to a property manager or somebody who has rental property, they want cash up front. Well, when your bank account's frozen, how do you get money? How do you write post-dated checks? You can't. So for 3 months, I lived on welfare. And then I would sleep in an orchard at nighttime, and I would journal. I still have my journals to this day of me living on the streets. So I've been flat broke financially where I didn't have 25 cents to my name. I know what it's like to go right out and eat out of a dumpster. I've been there. I've lived my life there. I've been there where I had nothing. You know, you hear people say they live paycheck to paycheck? I've lived hour to hour, where I'm not going to know where I'm going to be an hour from now, to a point where I just wanted to die. So I attempted suicide. And that was a turning point in my life that I had to go through a breakdown to have a breakthrough. Because at the time I premeditated for 6 months, I tried to commit suicide. And I drove my car at 85 miles an hour towards a telephone pole. And just before I hit the telephone pole, see, I come from a police family. And my family, a lot of them are in law enforcement. And I also had a sister that died at a very young age. And I didn't want my family to ever know they had another child they had to bury. So I secretly planned my suicide so that at the time of my suicide, it would come up on a police report as undetermined. That they would never know what the cause was. It was undetermined at the motor vehicle crash. So I used to go on police ride-alongs with law enforcement to learn about paperwork and systems and procedures and policies and investigation work and all that stuff to figure out the system, to figure out the game. And what happened was I ended up getting introduced to an organization called Dale Carnegie. Somebody familiar with Dale Carnegie? And into an organization called Toastmasters International. And I started voluntarily speaking to organizations with no experience. I tell people I have a PhD, a public high school diploma, right? Working on an MBA, millionaire's bank account or multimillionaire's bank account, MBA, right? And the thing is, because we want to learn in life, we want to earn, and then we want to return. Right? We want to learn, earn, and then return. So I want to share with you some pictures. This is me, my early 20s. After I went homeless, I had a guy give me a hand up, and he let me live in his treehouse. This is where I wrote my first book, became a best-selling author. I've done 6 books today. I lived in a treehouse. This is a little treehouse. This is my home, and that's where I lived. I used to have this guy in the blue shirt. I have no idea who he was. He stopped by one time and visited me. The other guy is a friend of mine who I came to see, and this was my home. And that's where I lived.